The Netflix limited series, IC-814, The Kandahar Hijack, has gripped audiences worldwide with its retelling of the terrifying terrorist incident that took place in 1999. The series dramatizes one of the most perilous hijackings in aviation history. It has sparked widespread interest and discussion about the tense events of December 1999, including around how reflective the show is of the real history around the incident. On December 24, 1999, Indian Airlines Flight 814, en route from Kathmandu to Delhi, was hijacked by members of the Harkatul Mujahideen terrorist group. The hostage situation lasted for a week, the longest hijack in Indian aviation history. It involved a series of tense negotiations, multiple stopovers, and the release of 3 terrorists in exchange for the safe return of the Indian Airlines Flight 814 passengers and crew. This story is reflected in IC-814, The Kandahar Hijack, with the series providing a detailed look at what actually happened. Indian Airlines Flight 814 was hijacked on December 24, 1999, while flying from Kathmandu. The plane, en route to Delhi, was hijacked while drinks were served. Imagery from IC-814, The Kandahar Hijack, showing the plane in the air. The Airbus was en route from Kathmandu to Delhi. The hijacking happened very quickly in the flight timeline. Flight IC-814 departed from Kathmandu on December 24, 1999 at 1600 hours Indian Standard Time. By 1639, the plane had entered Indian airspace. Its presence in Indian airspace is important later in the timeline. By 1653, the pilot announced the hijacking. Only 3 minutes later, at 1656 IST, the Delhi Air Traffic Control was informed about the situation. The calm of IC-814 and serving drinks after takeoff were shattered instantly. These early scenes from the hijacking, as adapted in the Netflix series, have been heavily criticized by viewers. This is because the series portrays the hijackers empathizing with the passengers and crew on board. In reality, the hijackers were brutal and created an environment of fear. India today. There was a high level of tension among passengers while the hijackers seized control. The passenger's perspective was arguably not prioritized in the Netflix retelling, which missed some crucial details of the events. Why members of Harkatul Mujahideen hijacked the Indian Airlines flight? The Harkatul Mujahideen members had a significant list of demands. Sharan in IC-814. The Netflix series depiction of the events of the IC-814 hijacking has sparked an interest in the hijackers' motives. IC-814 was one of several hijackings that occurred on Indian planes from the 1970s to the 1990s, India today. The motives for these ranged from securing architectural plans to exam postponements, and are unthinkable in a post-9/11 world. However, the motives for IC-814 were more extreme. The hijackers' initial list of demands was the shroud of slain Harkatul Ansar terrorist Sajjad Afghani, who lies buried in Jammu, and 36 terrorists in Indian jails, Hindustani Times. The early demand for the former is what tipped off authorities that the hijackers were members of Harkatul Mujahideen, a jihadist group operating primarily in Kashmir. The hijackers also demanded the release of Masood Azhar, the founder of a Pakistani-based terrorist organization, in a trade for a partial release of the passengers. However, the Indian authorities refused, demanding all those on the plane be released. On top of their release demands, the hijackers wanted $200 million in cash. After further talks, the hijackers demanded the release of 3 prisoners. The prisoners in question were Masood Azhar, Omar Sheikh, and Mushtaq Zargar. Indian Airlines Flight 814 stops and how long the hijacking lasted. Air traffic control of India and Pakistan played a role in where the plane could land.